Miami out in the first round. Columbus out in the first round. Cincinnati in the first round. Did MLS screw up the playoff format, Jason?
If you want me to make a binary choice, Rob, yes, they screwed up the format because there was nothing wrong with the old format. I mean, you can justify just about anything. I don't know where the line might be. That's in the eye of the beholder. Like, 7-game series. That's probably crossed the line. That's probably too much. You can't really sell the soccer public or the general sports public on that. But you can sell them on 3 games. Because 3 games and the higher seed has advantage at home in 2 of those games. And that means that generally speaking, the higher seed is going to advance. And while you don't want to guarantee that, because otherwise, why are you playing the playoffs? Why are you doing the games? Why do you even have playoff spots in 7, 8, 9? You do want to give the higher seed a significant advantage because their regular season was better. And as we've already pointed out, Miami 34 points better than Atlanta United. Atlanta United squeaking into the MLS Cup playoff field on the final day in 9th place. Then they went to Montreal and they won. And now they beat Miami over 3 games. And I understand this reaction, Rob. The reaction is, oh my God, what is going on? This is not right. How can you possibly have a scenario in which a 9 seed can beat a 1 seed? Or a team as bad as Atlanta has been at points this year can beat the best MLS regular season team we've ever seen, a team with Messi and Suarez and Busquets and Alba, and the list goes on. That's what playoffs are, man. This is what we and I don't know. I don't really understand why. And maybe this is soccer exceptionalism, Rob. Maybe you can explain it to me. I'm an American sports fan. I'm an American and I'm a sports fan. And so what that means is I grew up watching the leagues I care about use playoffs to determine their champions. Right? I watched the Major League Baseball playoffs. I watched the NFL playoffs. I watched the NBA playoffs. I watched the Stanley Cup playoffs. And sometimes I watched the NCAA basketball tournament. And you know what happens sometimes, Rob? Do you know what happens?
The good teams lose.
Upsets happen. The good team loses. It happens. I happen to be from Northern Virginia. There is a team that made the Final Four that is based in Northern Virginia that had no business being in the Final Four. George Mason University. What year was that? 2004, 2005? Somebody look it up. I can't remember. They made the Final Four. They had no business being there, but it was an amazing story. And people loved that run. I mean, I'm talking about, what was it? St. Joe's out of Jersey just made a run, right? I mean, think about all these other small teams that we celebrate because of their run, right?
Yeah, St. John's has a name because of that run, just like the small school in Chicago that had the old nun as the fan.
Remember. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah. With that was it
DePaul?
Loyola. That not DePaul. It was a bigger school. Yeah, Loyola with their nun. But I mean, obviously that's college, and we sort of give them college sports are supposed to be like that. Upsets are good in pro sports. I mean, does anybody really go crazy when a wild card team makes the Super Bowl in a bad way? They always say, like, I can't believe a wild card team made the Super Bowl. We better change the format, fix the format. You can't have a wild card team in the Super Bowl. No, we go, wow, what a great run from this wild card team. They figured it out in the playoffs. They beat teams better than them. They rose to the occasion. Why don't we do that in MLS? Why do we turn this into a referendum on again, I think 3 games is ridiculous. You shouldn't have done this, Major League Soccer. It's all about inventory. Get more games for Apple, blah, 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 blah. And I know people are saying today, you shot yourself in the foot. Now Messi's out. This hurts your product. Yeah, sure. But it's also, again, playoffs do this. And I guess if you just don't like playoffs, you can rail about it, Rob. Soccer doesn't do playoffs in other places, so we should throw that whole thing out. But if you're going to have playoffs, you have to accept the upsets alongside the greatness.
I mean, that game on Saturday night, I mean, pushing some of the world's greatest players to the brink. I mean, you saw Messi and Suarez and Busquets and Alba with a look of desperation, like they almost were in disbelief when as that game played out. Obviously, they're upset that they thought that third goal shouldn't have been, because they thought there should have been a whistle. But there was some desperation, a glint of despair in their eyes, and just the fact that the whole build up to the night, that one game, anything could happen. So that was exciting and it was dramatic. So it did provide that. It just seemed a little bit clunky. In the chat, you got Luke saying he liked the best of 3 format, but if you're going to try to reduce flukiness of playing it out over a series, he didn't understand why you'd go to immediate penalties if that was the case.
Well, I think that was their, that was their compromise, because if you have a 3-game series and you're allowing for extra time and penalties,
that's a lot of football.
I mean, it's a lot of soccer to be played, right? And you don't, first of all, if we want to center the greatest player on the planet in this conversation, which I don't know that he should be, but of course he's got gravity. The world revolves around Lionel Messi, particularly when you sign him like this and he brings so much attention to the league, and you've got this new Apple TV deal and you're trying to sell people, not just here in the United States, but around the world on watching Major League Soccer because Lionel Messi is there. If you center Messi, does Messi ever come off, Robert? Does he ever get subbed?
Not recently. He's been subbed into games, but he hasn't been subbed out very often.
If Lionel Messi starts a game, he finishes a game. Because what coach wants to say to the greatest player on the planet who can find magic when there seems to be none available? Who wants to see that guy? Who wants to tell that guy, you can't play? You got to come off. It's 65. It's 75. It's 80. I got a kid. I got a 22-year-old who's ready to run himself into the ground. He can't play like you. He can't find the magic pass. He can't score the magic goal. But, he makes us better. How do you sell that to Lionel Messi? You don't. So Lionel Messi plays. Lionel Messi plays an entire game. So if you had gone to extra time in any of those matches, you're now asking Lionel Messi to play 120 minutes. Now, I know there was some rest involved. These games weren't on top of each other, but it's still, that seems like they were saying, okay, we're going to do 3 games. It's already a tough sell. It's already weird and clunky and ridiculous. We can't also have extra time. But I guess that does speak to the idea that you're kind of reintroducing flukiness. You're taking flukiness out by giving the higher seed 3 games, 3 opportunities to win 2, but you're adding a little bit back in with the penalty kick shootouts. But that's not what happened here. Inter Miami did not lose because of a penalty kick shootout, Rob. They lost 2 games in regulation, over 90 minutes. They lost 2 games, including on Saturday at home in front of their crowd. They have no excuses. Tata's got no excuses. Lionel Messi has no excuses. Jordi Alba they have no excuses. I don't like the format. I like the drama of 1 game. It's done. Now, if you want to do 2 games and an aggregate score line, fine. That does feel football, feel soccer. But if you're trying to amp up the drama of this, we got some drama, right? We got some drama. It just wasn't the drama that ultimately the executives in New York probably wanted to see.
Yeah, the Don Garber watch, somebody needs to be watching him on Saturday night, see if he is okay. So to summarize the first round of the MLS Cup Playoffs 2024, it took 3 weeks to play the first round. The top 3 seeds are out. We saw a player pop his shoulder back into position after being dislocated, and then they end up going on to take a penalty. We saw a Mexican legend end his career by spitting near the referee. So, I mean, it was clunky, but fun.
In his time in Houston, it's possible that Hector Herrera pops up in Mexico or something next season. That's very possible. But yes, you're right. We got drama. We got, but again, I think the question a lot of people are asking, those of us who are committed to this league are going to watch it, kind of regardless of what they serve up. We may not love it, but we will still take it. The question is whether or not you are selling it the right way, whether you are selling new fans potentially on this. I saw some messages. I'm over on Blue Sky, in addition to, I'm not on the other one personally, but I am on Blue Sky. I saw Robert Andrew Powell, very, very good writer, was putting out messages that he spent some time in a very Argentinian neighborhood in South Florida while Inter Miami were playing games, and nobody seemed to care. Nobody seemed to know. Now, and if you're not selling it to that community, if you're not selling it to that demographic, are you selling it to anybody? And is this because it's 3 games? Is it because it's playoffs at all? Is it because you're behind the paywall on Apple TV? What is the problem here that Major League Soccer has? I don't know that MLS is going to suffer dramatically because Messi got knocked out. they would have liked to have had him making the run. That would have been the best case scenario. But you're still a sports league. It's not professional wrestling. You cannot script the result. So you deal with what you've got. I did think that maybe MLS could take a cue from pro wrestling, though. And we just have Messi do run-ins. We just send him to various playoff cities. You don't know where he's going to show up. And all of a sudden, like, oh, that's Messi's music. And he comes running in and he plays like 25 minutes, helps somebody score.